I finished a series. Woo! Hey everyone, Fina here from Fina Reads. Welcome to my July mid-month wrap-up. And I finished a series. The first one for this year. I'm excited. I am supposed to have finished way more series than I actually did. Well, I guess I got sidetracked a little bit. It is what it is. Before I jump into my reading updates so far, just a few quick updates. One is, Doggo is doing better. Still not quite there yet, but we're getting there. Vet said it all looks right. I mean, it looks horrible right now. We're at that stage where but the vet says it's all good. So hopefully like 2 or 3 more weeks and then, we're done with that situation. Then a couple of things that happened in the first half of July that I'm very excited about. First off, my AI video went live. The one where I did a survey on, I don't know if you remember from an earlier video, I asked for your guys' opinion on AI when it comes to, being used for writing a book. And the survey results have been very interesting. So if you haven't watched that yet, go check it out. I had a lot of fun putting this together and I thought the results are relatively interesting and I hope it's a good conversation starter. The other thing is I was invited by Nico from Nico's book reviews. We were on his channel a couple of days ago and we had a lot of fun talking about books. We're very aligned when it comes to older fantasy. It makes me feel really, really old when we say it like that. But 80s, 90s fantasy. There's some really good stuff that we both like. And we had a blast. We had a great time talking about Green Rider, about AI too, and then just generally about reading. Thanks for everyone who hopped on over and joined us live. And if you haven't watched it yet, go check out the recording. And then I got some cool book mail. I wanted to show you something really cool, which I have not seen before, and that is a white leather-bound book. I'll show you some close-ups. This is The Knife's Edge by Matthew Wolfe, which is book 1 in the Ronin saga. And I actually bought that back when WonderCon happened, because he had it as his booth, completely empty. There was no text in it in the version he had at WonderCon. It was kind of weird. But he finally got them done and he shipped them out and it arrived last week. And I cannot get over how pretty this is. Look, it has gold edges and whatnot. It is so cool. So that arrived, which now means I have to read this series really, really soon. I've read 2 of the prequel novellas already. Loved it. That magic system, it's going to be amazing. I already know that. So yeah, I need to get to the main books in the series. So and then let me show you what I got in that artwork book box. They sent me a complimentary box and they picked the books for me. So I had no idea what it is that they are going to send me. So let's see what I got in the box. I received a box from Artbark. If you've never heard of them, they're a book club box similar to Book of the Month. They have different types of books, a bit more lesser known gems type of thing. And they reached out and asked if they could send me a complimentary book box. And that has been sitting here for 2 days unopened. So ginormous scissors. And we are going to open this together now because I want to know what's in this freaking box. What's in the box? And it starts off with Alter Ego by Alex Segura. I've neither heard of the author nor of the book itself. I honestly am not sure what this is. Are you a thriller? Are you a science fiction? Are you fantasy? It's something with someone who wrote a comic book and she gets a warning that she shouldn't take an offer. This is going to be interesting. I have no idea what this is supposed to be. The next one is Salt Bones by Jennifer Given. I've seen this cover before. I believe this is a fantasy. Oh, it's a retelling of Persephone and Demeter set in the Mexicali borderlands. Blah, 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 blah. Combining elements of Latina and indigenous culture, family drama, mystery, horror, magical realism, and a spell-binding mix. Okay, that's interesting. This is also not something that I would usually go for, but I find this very intriguing. I also love the cover a lot. I hope it's less on the magical realism side and more on the culture and family drama and the mystery. But we will see. And the last book is one that I already own, but now I have a hardcover version, The Last Murder at the End of the World. This is a sci-fi by Stuart Turton. I got a copy for my birthday for this one. But yeah, that premise sounds very interesting, and I'm definitely very, very intrigued in reading this book. Well, now I can pick which copy I want. So we might do a giveaway at one point, right? Once I read it, something like that. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. And then bookmarks. 3, 1 per book, perfect, so I don't have to search for anything, so that is awesome. And then it looks like they have some sort of challenge reading club type of thing that you can join. All right, definitely an interesting mix. I'm very curious to see how these books are going to turn out. If you're interested in, taking a look at artwork and at their book box, if you're looking for an alternative to Book of the Month, I'll leave some information down below, including a coupon code. I will not get any kickback on that, just FYI. It's just, a code that they sent over that everybody kind of has access to. Where you get the first month for $5, which, I mean, a book for $5 is pretty good in my book. No pun intended. So go check that out if you're interested in that. What did I read in the first half of July? So starting off with Green Rider, because we're still in the whole Green Rider, sparkly eyes and everything is exciting because I finished book 8. Book 8 that is coming out September 30th. I have received an arc, so thank you so much to NetGalley and Daw for approving me for this arc. And it is good that I have sat on this for a little bit because my initial opinion does not quite match my current opinion. Without spoilers, I will not talk about spoilers at what's happening in the book, but it's very obvious now that the way the story is told is changing. Already with book 7, which was one of my least favorite books, if not my least favorite book of the series, because it turns into a more plot-driven story now. Since, well, actually kind of already book 6, but book 7 more so, and book 8 definitely as well. You can definitely notice that this is a setup book, book 8. It's a lot slower than the others, even though there's a lot of stuff happening, and a lot of stuff happens really in a fast pace. But what I mean with that is no major things happen, if that makes any sense. So she posted on her Patreon, I don't know if she also posted it on her social media, that she actually wrote book 8, and then the publisher, or she herself, I don't know, someone said, hey, let's split this into 2 because it's actually too big. So it feels like a first half of a book. I would have been fine reading double the amount of what this was. No issues there. Not at all. Listen, we're fantasy readers. We love a good chunky book. I'm definitely curious to see what book 9, aka book 8.2, holds in stock for us and what is then actually happening with the story. I'm definitely at a point where I need this series to end. So I hope that after book 9, there's maybe a book 10, and then that we're starting to wrap things up with book 10, ideally. That's where I'm at. What I do love, though, as we're preparing for the release of book 8, is the Green Rider Love happening on booktube right now. As you probably know, there is like a big read-along happening over on Stacy's and Jake's channel, and we are joined by Ian, by Rabin from Only the Best Fantasy Novels, and it makes me so happy to see their reactions and see what they love about the series versus not and whatnot. If you want to know what that is, go over to their channels and check out the reviews that they put out, because they already started reviewing their books and putting them into favorite lists and all that kind of stuff. So I linked their channels down below so you can go check that out. The next book that I read in July was the next John Mars book, another buddy read over on Stacy's and Jake's Discord. This time it was Her Last Move, which is another thriller by John Mars, and I am more and more solidified in my opinion that I love his thrillers more than his sci-fi, because they are just fantastic. This is not my favorite thriller. Her Last Move is mainly out of 2 POVs. One from a detective who is a single mother. She has a daughter with Down syndrome. Her mother is living with them. Her mother is actually taking care of her daughter most of the time because she is actually trying to move up in the ranks on the police side. And it's a very frustrating experience for her because she sees like the younger colleagues passing her by and being promoted before her and all that kind of stuff. As it happens, there is a serial killer out and about, and she is forcing herself into that investigation and putting herself kind of into the center of this, so she is seen as, hey, I'm a good detective, I'm really good at what I'm doing. So a lot of the story is about her struggles, her balancing her private life with her career and that kind of stuff, which I found very interesting. And then the other side is obviously the serial killer himself. So we're getting his POV, and you don't really know who that is till closer to the end. It is in typical John Morris manner, relatively dark, although not as dark as some of his other thrillers. I didn't vibe with the story as much than I did with some of his other thriller stories, even the sci-fi ones for that matter, but it was still a very good book, and it still has me excited for the rest of the ones that we're going to read for the rest of the year. Next one was an audiobook, which is Before the Coffee Gets Cold. And that was a book that I kind of already knew is not quite for me, and it turned out to be the case. I think the narrator is perfect for that type of story. She has a very soothing, calming voice, and it fits the storytelling aspect very well, like all the different characters very well. But let me take half a step backwards, just in case you don't know what Before the Coffee Gets Cold is about. I feel it is a very popular book, and it has been floating around for some time now. These are actually 4 shorter stories as part of the book that all have the same premise. And the premise is that there's a coffee shop where you can go to and travel to the past, but you can only travel to the past that happened in the coffee shop and then meet people that you've met before in that coffee shop. And you're only staying in the past till, as the title says, the coffee gets cold. In those 4 stories, you learn why these people travel into the past. It's for love, for, clarifying something with a family, just for working through grief, that kind of stuff. And it's not a bad book per se. It's not bad stories or anything. It's just not something that I typically read or enjoy. And I, found myself a little bit bored as I was listening to that. I knew that I wouldn't vibe with the book, and it turned out I didn't. So my gut feeling was right in that case. And now you might ask yourself, so why did you read it then? If you knew you wouldn't like it, why did you even read it? Well, it was a buddy read with Helena and Marissa. I leave their channels down below if you want to go check them out. They're just doing buddy reads like once a quarter, I believe. And that was the book they picked. And I was like, you know what? I'll check it out. I'll grab it. Would be fun. So that was one book. And then I DNF'd one book, although that is a soft DNF because I actually think I will like that book. And that is the Unworthy by Augustina, the same author that wrote Tender is the Flesh. I apologize. I will not even try to attempt to pronounce that last name. But the author wrote Tender is the Flesh, which I thought was fantastic in a very morbid kind of way. Definitely nothing for the faint of heart. But I thought it was very interesting on how she worked through that topic, how she normalized the topic in that story. And so I loved it. So I wanted to try another book by her. And I've heard she has another book published with a bunch of short stories, which I'm not super interested in. But when this one came out, The Unworthy, I was very interested. And after 10 long weeks, my library hold came through. Unfortunately, I am not in the right headspace to read it because, my goodness, is this thing weird. It's not a straightforward story. It's a journal entry from someone who is an unworthy, from a woman who is an unworthy. And it feels like a post-apocalyptic type of story in the sense of that they're living in a group and they are very cautious about people coming from the outside because they could be contaminated. And it's not a straightforward writing or storytelling style for that matter. So I was reading it for 20% and I just my brain couldn't wrap itself around it. I think I'm going to like it, but yeah, I put it off to the side for now. I DNF'd it for now. We'll get back to it at a later point and try it again. And then lastly, the book that I finished, the series that I finished, I should say. Yay! Yoo-hoo! I finished the Vale series by Lauren Petrozoka. I read the 3rd book, which is Yoke of the Whale. It's a romantasy, it's a fae romantasy, it's a portal fantasy. Obviously, the main part is the relationship part, is the romance part. There's some spice, especially in book 2 and 3. But what I loved about it is there's also a lot of stuff around it. So the whole concept of being a Valeborn, which is essentially someone who grew up in the human world and then went through a tear in the world into the Vale and then gets like special abilities, and I thought that concept was very interesting. Plus, how she took some Lord of the Ring inspiration, made it her own, and put that into the Fae world was really cool. Her love for language really shined through, which I loved. There's definitely a lot of personal stuff that she worked through, which is noticeable, but not in a bad way. I think it just makes the story so much more unique and more personable for her as an author. I think it was a great entrance into the romantasy genre. The 3rd book wrapped it really well. It was a lot of action, a lot of things happened. There was a specific scene that my goodness, I felt the anxiety the main character was facing. She was to perform right in a public manner, something that she hasn't done before, and then it was a specific thing that she was very uncomfortable doing, and then the whole public scenario was just not something she was very comfortable with, and I felt that anxiety. Like, I was sitting there when I was reading, and it was like, I could breathe. And then it ended in a very wholesome way, and I really loved how she put it all together. So I'm done with that main trilogy. There is a duology, I believe, following. The first book of that is already out. I know she's writing the second book in that follow-up series right now, which doesn't follow the main character from the first trilogy, but a side character from that trilogy, which I'm very interested in. So eventually I will get that started too. I might wait till the second book is out, because then I can binge it all essentially together. All right, like, that's what I've done so far in the first half of July. What have you read so far? How has your first half of July been? Did you read anything interesting? Are you in the middle of something exciting? Let me know down in the comments. And then don't forget to check out the AI video, and just don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because there's a lot of stuff happening right now. And then I hope I'll see you soon with my next video. Until then, have an amazing rest of your day. Bye!